Welcome to Alexander's Marketing.
Way of Will John.
There's a wild story, and I have another fascination with another book that I'm reading. I'm nearly finished about the Oracle of Delphi. Alexander is said to have visited an oracle in Egypt.
Yes.
This one that is a fairly famous story, but there's a huge mystery around what exactly he was told because we don't know, right? And I think it might have even been in in the campaigns of Alexander.
Yeah, it's on all of the histories. It was a big deal.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a huge deal. And could you explain why that oracle is important, and then even speculate as to what? Because I believe he explained that he had something. He wrote to his mother, I think, right, and said that he had something crazy I got to tell you, but it'll wait, or I'll wait till we see you. And this was before everything. Maybe you could just put that into context for us.
First of all, welcome to Alexander's Marketing. First, Alexander was highly religious. Okay, that is not a myth. He spends lots of money on refurbishing temples. He seems to have a fascination with oracles. There is a story he visited the Delphic Oracle. Most of the people who do scholarship don't believe that story. It's made up. It's a conflation of another story anyway. But he did go to the Oracle of Amun because it's one of the older oracles. Now, his mother, Olympias in 𝗵𝗂ros, was born in the shadow of a very famous one called the Oracle of Dodona, which is the Oracle of Amun. Actually, in the ancient mind, had ties. They didn't really, but it doesn't matter. The Greeks love making up these stories. So when he got to Egypt, Hercules had been there, Perseus had been there. Of course, I got to go there too. So he tromps off through the desert. Theoretically, one of the odder things he did on campaign, but again, showing you his emphasis on religion. Every Egyptian pharaoh was supposed to go to Amun's oracle and present themselves. So he's doing what an Egyptian pharaoh should do. So he goes out there to hear this oracle, and there's this story, this persistent story that he's the son of a god. One, he ain't Jesus. Okay, that is not what they meant by that. He's equating himself to like Hercules. We hear so much about Alexander being Achilles. Oh no, Hercules is mentioned twice as much or more in the sources than Achilles is, as Alexander's model and who he's competing with. So the fact that Heracles went there, the fact that Heracles is the son of Zeus, this is really the model he's doing. He's not necessarily rejecting Philip, but trying to get into the ancient Greek mindset is so different from ours and how they understood the gods. That's a class in itself. But he does go there. We don't know what he was told because you had an individual consult with the priest. There was this funky boat and people that danced with the boat, and however, think of a Ouija board, but with a boat. And so that's how you got your oracle. He supposedly never told anybody about it, but then of course, intentionally, here's welcome to the marketing, slips out all of this stuff, these rumors. Well, he wants the rumors out there. Of course he does. And other oracles supposedly confirm it that he is the son of Amun. And after that, he takes along with him a priest of Amun to do sacrifices, just like he's got other priests there too. So Amun then becomes part of his regular stuff. Once more, keep in mind, this is what Egyptian pharaohs do. When he shows up there, the priest supposedly has a slip of the tongue and calls him welcome son. Well, again, this is normal. The pharaohs are all called the son of Amun. Okay, so this is the Greeks not knowing anything about or not knowing enough about Egyptian religion that we know now. So all of this gets made much of, and Alexander spends it and has his court historian Callisthenes spend that stuff and make him into this semi-divine figure. This will eventually get him in trouble with his Macedonian troops who are like, what are you doing? But it works for political purposes, especially in the ancient Near East, who liked to see their kings not as primus inter pares or first among equals, but as a little above. If not god kings like Egypt, at least an intermediary. So he's setting himself up in ancient Near Eastern fashion, not necessarily in Greek fashion. And he's figured out, I'm going to have to do this to survive.
We have to discuss the more and almost most important mythical story, this Gordian knot story. Please tell us that.
Okay, that's more myth making. Again, this guy knew his marketing. He was a marketing genius. You would appreciate him. He knew how to spin a story. And he's sending all this stuff back to Greece. Well, there's this myth. And we don't know how old it is, but certainly Alexander heard of it, that there's this knot around a wagon. He who unties the knot, becomes king of all Asia. This is catnip to Alexander. He's got to go do this thing. So he wanders off the normal route. He's going down the coast. The Macedonians were not naval people. The Persians were. So Alexander's trying to take all the ports away from the Persians. That's his large strategy. And he takes a detour before the Battle of Issus, goes up to this place, goes into the marketplace where there's this ancient cart with a yoke, which is what, you put on the oxen, and it's connecting it to the cart. And okay, it's this huge knot, which is made of wood, and he's trying to figure out how to untie this thing. Can't figure it out. And according to one story, the one that everybody's heard, he pulls his sword and cuts it. And he's like, ain't no rules saying how to untie it. I untied it. And this is use of him thinking outside the box. Well, there's another story too. And that's, if you look at an ox yoke, there's a big pen in the middle. He pulled the pen out and he looks inside. There's the ends of the knot. And he untied it that way. So these are two different stories. That was from Aristobulus. It may be Alexander whitewashing to make him not seem like he's got to do everything with a sword. So take your pick. It's one of those two. It cannot be both. But both of them still show that he's thinking outside. He's able to figure out a new way to solve a problem.